हम सारे ऑपोजिशन को मतलब
वो आदमी गायब है।
ये बड़े सीरियस लग रहे हैं। कम बोलते हैं आजकल।
थोड़ा टेंशन में है।
BJP hits back with Soros Sonia counter.
भारत में इंस्टेबिलिटी लाना चाहते हैं, अस्थिरता लाना चाहते हैं और उस अस्थिरता के कांग्रेस टूल बन रही है।
Congress hits back, slams lying BJP.
वो सरासर झूठ है और वो खुद गद्दारी करते हैं और ब्रिटिशों के साथ उनके एजेंट बनके काम करते हैं।
Soros Adani Sunset showdown.
Good evening. You're watching 6 p.m. Prime here on India Today. I'm Akshita Nandagopal, and over the next 1 hour, we'll round up for you what played out in Parliament. But these two images essentially sum it up for you. With the Congress again repeatedly raking up the Adani controversy, now you've got the BJP countering, alleging the link between Sonia Gandhi and George Soros. And this is essentially what headlined both houses of Parliament today. We'll get you some of the highlights. Let's begin with the headlines. Big constitution debate in Parliament on December 13th and 14th. Sources say Prime Minister Modi will respond in Lok Sabha on December 14th. Home Minister Amit Shah to speak in Rajya Sabha on December 16th. Parliament storm swirls. Congress set to move no confidence motion against Rajya Sabha chair. Top India bloc Neta signed no confidence vote against Jagdeep Dhankar. One nation, one election bill soon. Sources say the bill will be tabled in Parliament this session. Cabinet gives nod to Ramnath Kovind panel report. India's Foreign Secretary meets Mohammad Yunus. Vikram Misri raises attacks on Hindus with Dhaka counterpart. Says it expects a constructive approach. Ousted Syrian president flees to Russia. Putin grants asylum to Assad and his family. Israel carries out airstrikes on Damascus. And India Today group shines at ITA Awards. India Today wins Popular English News Channel Award. Aaj Tak gets Popular News Channel Hindi Award.
And the winner is Aaj Tak.
And let's begin with the big breaking news that we're getting here on India Today. Our sources telling us that one nation, one election bill could be introduced by the government in the current winter session, or it could be in the next session. But here's what we're hearing. The government foresees that this bill may be sent to a joint parliamentary committee for detailed discussion, much like the Waqf Amendment Bill, in which case the whole process, of course, is a lengthy one, could take time. The cabinet has already approved the report of the Ramnath Kovind committee on one nation, one election. So the government wants to push forward with it, wants a consensus to be reached on the bill. So we are hearing from our sources that it could be brought up in the winter session itself, so that even if it goes to a JPC, to a joint parliamentary committee for further scrutiny, for further discussion, that can start. The process can start right away, and you could see one nation, one election becoming a reality soon. Sooner rather than really later. Now, this is the information we're picking up right now. Remember that a JPC will have representatives of all political parties. So thereby the government hopes that with a JPC, there will be a discussion and consensus that will be reached. Piyush Mishra is joining us live with more details on this. Piyush, what are you picking up from your sources? What are the chances of this bill being brought in this very session, in the winter session?
Well, what sources are telling us, Akshita, is that either in this session or in next session, the government is likely to introduce this bill in Parliament. Remember that the committee, One Nation One Poll committee, which was led by former President Ramnath Kovind, had already submitted its report, and the cabinet had cleared the report. Now, when this report has been cleared, we can expect the government to table this bill. Remember that the Ramnath Kovind committee had sought responses from various political parties, and maximum of them had supported the notion of one nation, nation, one poll. Now, what we're also learning from our sources is that after tabling this bill on the floor of the House, this bill could be referred to Joint Parliamentary Committee, where the suggestions of various stakeholders are likely to be taken by the Joint Parliamentary Committee, and speakers, intellectuals, and many other people likely to be called in before JPC, where the JPC is going to seek their suggestions. So most likely it's going to be in this session or in next session, but certainly it's going to be a lengthy process, but everything will be clear only after the bill is tabled in Parliament. Remember that in Waqf Amendment Act also we are seeing how the JPC is taking views of various
Exactly, and it's taking time, which is why perhaps the government wants to push forward in this very session and then ensure that whatever consultations, discussions need to happen with the JPC, that's also moved forward. Remember that this is something that the government has been on a mission on. One nation, one election. Prime Minister Modi had spoken about this also earlier this year. Listen in to what the Prime Minister had to say.
देश ने बार बार चुनाव इस देश की प्रगति में रुकावट बन रहे हैं, गतिरोध पैदा कर रहे हैं। आज कोई भी योजना को चुनाव के साथ जोड़ देना आसान हो गया है, क्योंकि हर 3 महीने 6 महीने कहीं न कहीं चुनाव चल रहा है। कोई भी योजना जाहिर करोगे आप तो मीडिया में देखेंगे, चुनाव आया तो फलाना हो गया, चुनाव आया तो फलाना हो गया। हर काम को चुनाव के रंग से रंग दिया गया है और इसलिए देश में व्यापक चर्चा हुई है। सभी राजनीतिक दलों ने अपने विचार रखे हैं। एक कमेटी ने बहुत बढ़िया अपना रिपोर्ट तैयार किया है। वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन के लिए देश को आगे आना होगा।
Now, I'm sure all of you are wondering, what exactly is the one nation, one election proposal? How does it work? How can you have the entire country going into elections at one point in time? Well, it rests really on one crucial pivot, which is the possibility of improved governance. And that's what the message of Prime Minister Modi has constantly been about one nation, one election, ensuring efficiency. We explained to you all the details you need to know about how one nation, one election actually works.
What exactly is one nation, one election? To break it down for you, the concept here refers to holding simultaneous polls across the country. In fact, the proposal is to conduct elections for Lok Sabha as well as the state assemblies all at the same time. In India, the general elections to elect the members of parliament and state assembly polls are all held separately when the tenure of the incumbent government comes to an end or when it gets dissolved for some reason. Now, the concept, however, does not encompass panchayat elections or state municipality elections and by-election. Notably, one nation, one election concept is certainly not new. It was already in practice until 1967. In fact, India has held simultaneous polls even before. General elections and elections to the state assemblies were held together in 1952, in 1957, in 1962 and in 1967. The inception of this concept. In 1983, the Election Commission of India, the ECI, had suggested simultaneous elections. In 2003, Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee took up the matter with the Congress President Sonia Gandhi. However, there wasn't much headway there. Then later in 2010, LK Adani said that he had already discussed the matter with Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. And over the years, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been the one advocating and pushing for this idea of simultaneous Lok Sabha and state assembly polls. It was also one of the components of the BJP's election manifesto for 2014 Lok Sabha elections. Now, the pros and cons to it. Supporters of the one nation, one election often underline that once implemented, it would bring down the overall expenditure on the electoral process. As per reports, a whopping 60,000 crores was spent on the previous 2019 Lok Sabha elections. Now, simultaneous elections is also likely to boost voter turnout, making it quite convenient for the electorate to cast ballot at once. Another argument here favoring the simultaneous polls concept is that it will lead to a more efficient administration. During elections, the entire state machinery focuses on conducting a free and fair electoral process, which finally impacts the everyday administration because officials are, of course, engaged in polling duties. Now, the idea of one nation, one election is expected to bring consistency and continuity in policies as well as programs of the government. Now, the cons to it. This exercise is easier said than done. Holding just one mega election would be too complex an exercise in a huge and a diverse country like ours, India. The biggest challenge, of course, in the way of the one nation, one election is to sync the terms of the various state assemblies with those of Lok Sabha. The plan raises, of course, serious questions here. What would happen if the central or state government collapses mid-tenure? Would elections be held again in every state, or will there be precedence rule that will be imposed? The idea of one nation, one election does not square with the concept of federalism, as it is established on the notion that the entire nation is one, contradicting the content of Article 1, which envisages India as a union of states. Additionally, there is worry that regional issues might just get overshadowed. It may be just sidelined by national issues affecting the electoral outcome at the state level. Also, regional parties would in fact not be able to compete hard enough with national parties when it comes to election expenditure and strategy. A 2015 study by the IDFC Institute found a 77% chance that the winning political parties or alliance will win both the Lok Sabha and the Assembly elections in the state when held together. Constitutional amendments. The Constitution also fundamentally does not allow simultaneous polls. 5 articles in the Constitution and the Representation of People's Act 1951 would have to be amended, and for this, every recognized state and national party would have to agree to this very change. For a constitutional amendment, 2/3 members of the House must be present for vote. A consensus of all political parties and state governments is, of course, needed. After the constitutional amendment bill is passed in the Parliament, it then needs to be ratified by half the states in India through resolutions in their very assemblies.
All right, let's move on now to what played out in Parliament today. You had, of course, the Adani controversy flaring up again, the Congress holding a protest with Rahul Gandhi, the leader of opposition, leading their agitation outside Parliament. And then you had the BJP raising now an alleged link between Sonia Gandhi and George Soros to demand answers of the Congress. So it was these two issues that dominated proceedings in Parliament, which essentially meant we saw non-stop protests, non-stop ruckus, even as there were attempts by the Lok Sabha Speaker and the Rajya Sabha Chairman to ensure productivity. It barely happened.
It was a stormy Parliament session on Monday with both the Congress and BJP training guns at each other. Philanthropist billionaire George Soros and his alleged links to Congress resonated in the Rajya Sabha, with the BJP taking the fight straight to Sonia Gandhi.
जॉर्ज सोरोस के फंडिंग प्रोसेस से जो फोरम्स और जो फाउंडेशन प्रोपोगेट करते हैं, उसको यहाँ पर कांग्रेस का वरिष्ठतम नेता उनको उठाता है. कांग्रेस टूल बन रही है.
लीडर ऑफ द हाउस बोले, उन्होंने जो बोले वो सरासर झूठ है और वो खुद गद्दारी करते हैं और ब्रिटिशों के साथ उनके एजेंट बनके काम किए और देश के लिए जिनका कोई कंट्रीब्यूशन नहीं.
The BJP claims that former Congress President Sonia Gandhi is associated with an organization financed by Soros, alleging that she was co-president of the Forum of the Democratic Leaders in Asia-Pacific Foundation. The BJP says that Sonia Gandhi was associated with an organization that has backed the idea of Kashmir as a separate nation, and that her chairmanship of the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation led to a partnership with the George Soros Foundation.
Whether it is Rahul Gandhi ji, Sonia Gandhi ji, or Shashi Tharoor ji, or anybody, I am not into any particular individual. What I am saying is, anybody found to be colliding with or working in tandem with anti-India elements must be countered unitedly by all political parties, in fact, every citizen of India.
Outside Parliament, the Congress is keeping up the heat on the Adani issue. The Congress led a protest against the Modi government, demanding a joint parliamentary probe into the Adani issue. Members of Parliament Manikam Tagore and Saptagiri Sankar Ulaka posed as Prime Minister Modi and Gautam Adani as leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha Rahul Gandhi indulged in some mock grilling.
और आजकल क्या हो रहा है भाई?
मैं जो भी बोलता हूँ ये करता है।
पार्लियामेंट क्यों नहीं चलने दे रहे हैं? हम सारे ऑपोजिशन को मतलब
वो आदमी गायब है।
ये बड़े सीरियस लग रहे हैं। कम बोलते हैं आजकल।
थोड़ा टेंशन में है।
While the BJP has been accusing the Congress of hatching a conspiracy against India, the Congress has been countering with this cronyism charge.
कि जो कुछ घटनाएं जॉर्ज सोरेस, उनका ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और उनसे जुड़े हुए विदेशी संस्थान कर रहे हैं, वो भारत में अस्थिरता पैदा करने की एक देशद्रोह के समकक्ष साजिश है। अगर ऐसे लोगों के साथ आपका संबंध है तो मैं कांग्रेस के शीर्ष नेतृत्व से पूछना चाहता हूं, क्या आपका शीर्ष नेतृत्व देशद्रोहियों के साथ है?
This kind of diversionary tactics to save Adani is the story now. This past 3 days, we can see that BJP don't want the parliament to function. They want the parliaments to be adjourned.
The United States has rejected the BJP's allegations that organizations funded by its State Department and elements in the American deep state were behind attempts to destabilize India.
Rajya Sabha Chairperson Jagdeep Dhankhar has now called for a meeting of senior leaders of opposition and government tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. We'll have to wait and watch what is going to happen tomorrow when both the houses resume. This is Piyush Mishra in Delhi for India Today.
So what is this allegation that the BJP is now putting forth against the Congress and naming Sonia Gandhi, but of course previously also linking Rahul Gandhi and several others? Let's explain it to you. It all of course stems from George Soros, a businessman based in the United States, the founder of the Open Society Foundation, and also in fact has an organization, a group called OCCRP. He's accused largely of funding anti-India organizations, which is why the BJP has gone all guns blazing on this. Now, there are 3 links essentially that you've got the BJP referring to. First, that of Sonia Gandhi, because of the fact that she is the co-president of an organization that's funded by Soros. Now, the BJP said that this is the very same organization that backed Kashmir as a separate entity, and so they've said that this is in fact again a link between Soros and Congress, between Soros and Sonia Gandhi. As far as Rahul Gandhi is concerned, this has been an attack on Rahul for the last many months. Now, for starters, the fact that a briefing, an Adani briefing that Rahul Gandhi had done was telecast by OCCRP, a firm that is in fact with George Soros. He's also accused of fostering close ties with Soros. Again, remember, these are allegations being put forth by the BJP. And then you have Shashi Tharoor, Congress MP, who referred to Soros as an old friend. And it's that particular comment which he had put out on social media that the BJP is referring to now to say here is the evidence that there is a Congress-Soros link. Shashi Tharoor, of course, has completely rubbished all of this. Now, let's take a look at how, in fact, you've had this particular narrative being pushed forth by the BJP. And on the other hand, the Adani narrative by the Congress. They may not have consensus within the India bloc over this issue. They may be facing brickbats from the TMC, the SP, from their own allies over raising the Adani issue repeatedly in Parliament, but that hasn't deterred Rahul Gandhi. What we witnessed today was this moment where Rahul Gandhi was seen interacting with Congress MPs. They had masks, face masks of Modi and Adani, which 2 MPs wore. And then there was a conversation where Rahul Gandhi essentially pretended like he was speaking to Modi and Adani. Take a look at the sequence.
क्या हो रहा है आजकल? क्या हो रहा है भाई?
मैं जो भी बोलता हूँ ये करता है।
आप क्या बोल रहे हो?
मैं कुछ भी चाहता हूँ।
क्या चाहते हो?
कुछ भी पोस्ट चाहिए या कुछ चाहिए।
अरे क्या कर रहे हो भाई? मोबाइल नहीं जगह लो यार, मोबाइल नहीं जगह लो। तो आपका रिश्ता, आपके रिश्ते
हाँ, माइक कौन है भैया? हम दोनों का एक ही है। मैं जो भी बोलता हूँ,
हम दोनों मिलके सब करेंगे। अच्छा, और कब से आपकी पार्टनरशिप चल रही है? माइक लगा फ्यूचर आपका नीचे कर लो थोड़ा ना। अच्छा, ये पार्लियामेंट क्यों नहीं चलने दे रहे हैं? हम सारे ऑपोजिशन को मतलब
वो आदमी गायब है, अमित भाई आए नहीं थे आज हाउस में। अमित भाई से पूछना पड़ेगा, मैं जो भी बोलता हूँ
ये बड़े सीरियस लग रहे हैं। कम बोलते हैं आजकल,
थोड़ा टेंशन में है।
Okay, so let's bring in Maushmi Singh, who's joining us live with more details on this. Maushmi, every single day, we of course see protests taking place outside Parliament on this issue. Today, it took an interesting turn with Rahul Gandhi there, conversing with two Congress MPs who were impersonating Modi and Adani. But what's very clear is that the Congress isn't backing off for this fight. You have the BJP raising Soros, but the Congress saying we'll put our focus on Adani irrespective of what allies think, irrespective of any pressure.
Absolutely, so the attack of the Congress is very clear-cut. They know that this is the issue that actually attacks the Prime Minister's anti-corruption crusader image. And that's why the Congress has gone all hammer and tongs about it, despite, they feel that the Trinamool Congress or the Samajwadi Party have not rallied behind the Congress party in the entire India bloc. So-called India bloc protest. And here you can see that they've been adopting innovative ways to, capture attention as far as, their protest is concerned. We saw them wearing jackets with stickers of Adani safe hai, Adani-Modi ek hai. And this time you saw entire spoof. In fact, a mimicry where Rahul Gandhi is playing a part. So clearly the Congress, apart from the fact that they want to discuss the constitution and want to do a protest on Sambal, and perhaps Rahul Gandhi even took that.
Yeah, but the challenge really for the Congress when they raise the issue of Adani is constantly the images that come in from Telangana. Thanks, Maushmi, for joining us with those details. So on one hand, you had this protest by Rahul Gandhi in Parliament, and you had, in fact, the entire Congress MPs there, as we showed you, impersonating Modi and Adani. On the other hand, at the Telangana Assembly in Hyderabad, today, BRS MLAs came together. And remember, the BRS has been lashing out at Revanth Reddy, at the Congress government in Telangana, again over Adani. So interestingly, you had the BRS MLAs all wearing T-shirts with slogans of Adani, Revanth, bhai bhai. What happens then? They weren't allowed to protest. They were immediately detained. These leaders were stopped at the entrance and detained by the police, including K.T. Ramarao, who's the BRS working president. All of them were detained. And it leads to obvious questions here. On one hand, you've got Rahul Gandhi going on, raising the issue of the Adani controversy in Parliament, slamming the government, saying they're not allowing us to speak in Parliament on this. And on the other hand, it's essentially that the tables have turned in Telangana, where the BRS is saying that the moment we raise the issue of Adani, we are immediately taken into custody.
मैं बस पूछना चाहता हूं राहुल गांधी जी से, आप पहले मन बना लीजिए, आप और रेवंत रेड्डी एक कमरे में बैठ जाइए और मन बना लीजिए कि कहना क्या चाहते हो आप हिंदुस्तान की जनता को, क्योंकि आप कंफ्यूज हो रहे हो, कंफ्यूज कर रहे हो। आप पार्लियामेंट में टी शर्ट पहन के आप प्रोटेस्ट करते हो, यहाँ पे असेंबली में हमें आने नहीं देते हो, पार्लियामेंट में कहते हो कि मोदी अदानी एक, वहां पे हम कह रहे हैं कि रेवंत अदानी एक है, तो क्यों नाराज हो रहे हो? क्यों आके तेलंगाना के स्पीकर हमें पाबंदी हम पे लगा रहे हैं? तो इसलिए मैं कहता हूं कि राहुल जी को, कांग्रेस पार्टी को यह तय करना चाहिए कि अदानी फ्रेंड है कि फ्रॉड है।
So even as you've got the showdown and war of words over the Adani controversy, let's take a look at some of the highlights of what played out in Parliament today on these issues and many more.
सर, जो लीडर ऑफ द हाउस बोले, उन्होंने जो बोले वो सरासर झूठ है और वो खुद गद्दारी करते हैं और ब्रिटिशों के साथ उनके एजेंट बन के काम करते और देश के लिए जिनका कोई कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन नहीं।
This is most unfair. You have rejected the notice, all notices. You want the business of the house. He is raising an issue which you have rejected. And it is very clear, it's very clear, this is all part of a game plan to raise this issue and have this entire house adjourned.
Now you are preaching scriptures. No. At that time you did not have this rule with you, rule book with you. No. We can't have a convenient mode. We cannot have a situation. Yes, I will paralyze. No one should paralyze the house. No, nothing is going on record. Sanjay, come on.
मेरा आपसे आग्रह है कि ये सदन का समय होता है, माननीय सदस्य प्रश्नकाल को चलने दें। प्रश्नकाल नहीं चलने देना चाहते आप, सदन नहीं चलाना चाहते आप। मेरा आपसे आग्रह है कि प्रश्नकाल में किसी विषय को नहीं उठाया जाता। मैं पुनः आपसे आग्रह कर रहा हूं, प्रश्नकाल सबसे महत्वपूर्ण समय होता है। देश चाहता है सदन चले, सदन की कार्रवाई चले। आप सदन में गतिरोध पैदा कर रहे हैं। आप सदन नहीं चलना चाहते, सदन नहीं चलाना चाहते। आप सदन की कार्रवाई 12 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की।
संजय सिंह जी, आप यहाँ टेबल को ऊपर उठ करके नाचने वाले, आप क्यों बता रहे हैं हम लोगों को ये हाउस डिसिप्लिन से चलना चाहिए? आप यहाँ हमारा पार्टी को आप पाठ पढ़ाने का कोई जरूरत नहीं है। आपका पूरा कारनामा सबने देखा है। टेबल के ऊपर चढ़ के आपने क्या तमाशा किया था? हमारा कोई हम तो हाउस चलाना चाहते हैं, लेकिन आप एक समय आपका सुविधा के अनुसार कुछ और बोलेगा यही, और फिर यहाँ आप दूसरे काम करेंगे। लीडर ऑफ द हाउस ने यही बात को कहा है। मैं लीडर ऑफ द हाउस ने जो कहा है
Now remember that 2 days have been allotted for a discussion on Constitution Day or debate on the Constitution in both houses of the Parliament. Now in the Lok Sabha it will be on the 13th and 14th December, and Prime Minister Modi will also be speaking in this discussion on 14th December on Saturday in the Lok Sabha. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will be starting off the discussion for the BJP. Home Minister Amit Shah will start off the discussion in the Rajya Sabha, which is a day later. Remember that in the Rajya Sabha, the discussion is slated to happen on 16th and 17th. So on 16th December, that's on Monday, next Monday, Home Minister Amit Shah will be speaking in Rajya Sabha. So obviously this is going to be a big talking point. It's expected from the Congress that Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi also will be speaking. So brace yourself for that big showdown which we witnessed also in the general elections over Samvidhan, over Constitution. That's something that we will witness now in Parliament over the next few days. Now that will be an interesting debate to watch out for. But let's also, while we focus on what's happening in Parliament and the big political takeaways, there's been a lot of focus on the India bloc and how they've been completely disjointed on their narrative in Parliament and on several other issues. Now mired in several internal conflicts, one over who should lead their coalition, and what's triggered that is Mamata Banerjee's proposal saying she should lead the India bloc, and this has left opposition ranks, essentially the alliance, in turmoil.
The India bloc united with the aim of stopping the Modi juggernaut in the run-up to the 2024 elections is divided again. And this time, it's the issue of leadership that has split the allies. With Mamata Banerjee throwing a hat in the ring as a potential leader of the bloc, the TMC once again has renewed the call for the West Bengal Chief Minister to take charge.
Narendra Modi, BJP versus the Congress, they have only 10% strike rate. Right. If you look at the BJP and the Trinamool Congress, with Mamata Banerjee leading the Trinamool, it's 70%. The firebrand leader who can give a challenge to Narendra Modi ji is Mamata Bandyopadhyay.
The chorus for Mamata Banerjee to lead the India alliance got louder after the Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi's absolute decimation in the state assembly elections. With Congress proving to be the weakest link once again, Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray faction and the NCP Sharad Pawar faction too are rooting for Mamata Banerjee now. RJD on the other hand has put forward Lalu Yadav's name.
बिहार में आरजेडी श्री तेजस्वी यादव जी नेतृत्व कर रहे हैं। ड्राइविंग सीट पर आरजेडी है और बिना आदरणीय लालू प्रसाद जी के बिहार में भाजपा के खिलाफ लड़ाई की कल्पना भी नहीं की जा सकती है।
Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge is the leader of the India bloc right now, but it's knives out for Rahul Gandhi too. Samajwadi Party leader Ram Gopal Yadav has questioned the Congress MP's credibility as a leader.
नहीं, राहुल गांधी तो अब भी इंडिया गठबंधन के नेता नहीं। राजनीति में कोई साधु संत तो बन के आते नहीं। सब पद चाहते हैं, चाहे लोकसभा का चुनाव हो, चाहे विधानसभा के चुनाव हो। कांग्रेस ने कहीं अच्छा परफॉर्म कर नहीं पाया। तो संभवतः ये लोगों में चर्चा रहती है कि हो सकता है कि नेतृत्व में परिवर्तन किया जाए। बिना गठबंधन के इन तिकड़मी लोगों को हराया नहीं जा सकता।
The Congress also finds itself isolated when it comes to the Adani row. Both the TMC and the SP stayed away from Congress's protest again on Monday.
We are not concerned about the downfall of Congress party or failure of the leadership of Sri Rahul Gandhi. The Congress party as well as the members of the India Alliance, they have already told that Rahul Gandhi has failed in taking the alliance together or to lead the alliance.
Smarting after stopping the BJP juggernaut at 240 in the general elections, the recent reverses in Haryana and Maharashtra have widened the cracks in the opposition. Will these fault lines get bigger, or can these parties find common ground again? Bureau Report, India Today.
And with that, I'm slipping into a short break here on 6 p.m. Prime. Coming up on the other side, we'll get you all the updates that have come in from Syria after the developments over the weekend of the Assad regime falling. All the latest updates on what's currently happening in Syria. Remember, Assad is currently in Russia, has been given asylum there.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
ज़माने से हटकर बेबाक है मेरा सिग्नेचर. Signature Finest Cardamom Seeds, a premium product from Dilbar Group.
Rangila with Motorola's incredible range of smartphones.
Hello, Moto. Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Hi, I am AI anchor Sana, bringing the top headlines for you, presented by Motorola. Aam Aadmi Party released second list for Delhi polls. Sisodia's seat changed, will now contest from Jangpura. Supreme Court rejects plea on farmers' movement in Shambhu border, sides matter hearing pending. PM Modi inaugurates Rising Rajasthan Global Investors Summit, says state development will lead to development of nation.
First images coming in of Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri meeting with the Bangladesh interim government head Mohammad Yunus in Dhaka. This comes after his meeting with the Bangladeshi Foreign Secretary. But this meeting, very, very crucial. In fact, the details we have is that essentially this was a courtesy meeting. And that's the first picture on your screen of Vikram Misri with Mohammad Yunus, who is the chief advisor right now, the head of the government right now. Now, remember that India sent across a very strong message, has repeatedly issued statements on what's happening in Bangladesh with regards to the attack on minority Hindus. And also our foreign secretary, while in Dhaka, in Bangladeshi soil, has raised this issue with his counterpart, expressing concern and also saying that these repeated incidents was something we raised as well. Listen in to what Vikram Misri said earlier in his briefing.
We also had the opportunity to discuss certain recent developments and issues, and I conveyed our concerns, including those related to the safety and welfare of minorities. We also discussed some regrettable incidents of attacks on cultural, religious, and diplomatic properties. A constructive approach on all these issues by the Bangladesh authorities, and we look forward to moving the relationship forward in a positive, forward-looking and constructive. I emphasized that India desires a positive, constructive and mutually beneficial relationship with Bangladesh. We have always seen in the past, and we continue to see in the future, this relationship as a people-centric and people-oriented relationship, one that has the benefit of all the people as its central motivational force. This is reflected on a daily basis in the development projects that have been executed on the ground in Bangladesh and that continue to be developed. It is also reflected in the mutually beneficial engagement we have on a whole set of issues ranging from trade, commerce, connectivity, power, water and energy, and development cooperation, consular cooperation and cultural cooperation. There is no reason why this mutually beneficial cooperation should not continue to deliver in the interests of both our peoples. And to that end, therefore, I have underlined today India's desire to work closely with the interim government of Bangladesh authorities.
Okay, let's move on now and get you details of what's happening in Syria. Over the weekend, we've seen the collapse of the Assad regime after 24 years of being in power. So now essentially it's a rebel group that's in control in Syria. Al-Assad had to flee from capital Damascus, and there were a lot of questions about exactly where he is. Now the information that's come in is that he's currently in Russia. As Russia has offered him asylum, he and his family are in Moscow. This even as questions loom on what next for Syria. World leaders are watching right now, closely monitoring the developments in Syria as the country glares at an uncertain future.
After 13 years of civil war in Syria that killed over 5 lakh people, a decade-long regime succumbs. On Sunday, President Bashar al-Assad fled the country and rebel forces took charge of Syria. A familiar cycle of change in West Asia, but one that does not necessarily signal good.
This victory, my brothers,